Welcome to the TOPS 1 training course for General Ledger. This course will take you through the General Ledger setup, accounting setup functions, and budgets. We will review the audit log for GL and the reporting specifics for General Ledger. Today's agenda, we'll talk about the General Ledger. We'll talk about terminology. We'll go into accounting setup, adjustments that can be made, budgets, the audit log, and our output finality of reporting. Chapter 1, General Ledger, how to create and manage ranges and accounts. The chart of accounts can be selected from the General Ledger from the navigation menu options once a community is selected. It can also be navigated by selecting the accounts under related links area of each community on the lower right-hand side. When the charts of accounts is selected, all accounts appearing here are created within the established ranges. The ranges can be collapsed or expanded to view the details within them. Selecting of actions in the right-hand corner, you can select Edit to add accounts, or to change fund designation or edit individual account information. Once Edit is selected under Actions, it becomes editable to add accounts at this point, select fund designations, and enable funds or cost centers to be used. The Edit screen for the chart of accounts. This is where you can enable cost center usage or fund-based reporting. These selections can then be added after it is saved. You can add accounts to established ranges. Again, saving at the top when finished to complete. Once it is saved, funds can be selected, for example, by selecting the KPI bar at the top, when going into the screen to create the fund titles and details from this point. To add fund categories, simply add the number, the name, and description of the fund. Click Add to create the fund and save at the top when finished. At the top right corner, under Actions, account ranges can then be selected as well. There is a great warning with this area. Account ranges, once added, cannot be removed. Under Actions, the allowance to import accounts is also available. This will present a secondary window, which will allow you to select your file, choose a beginning balance journal entry post date or not, and also download a sample of the CSV file in which to create your import with. Under Actions, you can also import the legacy history, which allows for the importing of historical chart of account balances. Again, beginning balance journal entries can be used, post dates or not. You can also download a sample of the file to use. Under Actions, we can choose to view legacy history, which allows the viewing of all historical chart of account balances, if attached to the system, will be a read-only view, not interactable. Let's see a demonstration of that action. 2. Terminology. Understanding accounting terminology as it pertains to TOPS 1 usage. A firm grasp on the accounting terminology used in TOPS 1 is necessary. The different types of accounting methods available to be created within TOPS 1 and used are accrual, which of course the term accrual refers to any individual entry recording revenue or expense in the absence of a cash transaction. Cash accounting, this methodology, of course, under which transactions are recorded when they actually happen. Cash accounting is a system where revenues as well as expenses are realized when they are received or paid out in the case of an expense. Modified accrual, a method under which revenues are recognized in the period they become available and measurable, and expenditures are recognized in the period that the associated liability is incurred. Most government accounting follows this method, also called modified cash basis accounting. Fiscal year. A fiscal year is the 12-month period that an organization uses for budgeting, forecasting, and reporting. Although many organizations follow the calendar year, a fiscal year can start at any point in the year and end 12 months later. A fiscal period. The period of time reflected in financial statements. Usually the fiscal period is either the calendar year or quarter, even the month. For example, publicly traded companies must report their financial state for the fiscal period since their previous report. A fiscal period is also considered and called an accounting period. The frequency, in the case of TOPS 1, describes the timing of charges assessed during the year, monthly, quarterly, annually, for example. The chart of accounts. The chart of accounts is a created list of the accounts used by an organization to define each class of items for which money or the equivalent is spent or received. It is used to organize the finances of the entity and to segregate expenditures, revenue, assets, and liabilities in order to give interested parties a better understanding of the financial health of the entity itself. Account ranges, generally a numeric scale to represent the overall account numbering scheme in the chart of accounts. A budget is an estimate of account and expenditure for a set period of time. Funds, a sum of money saved or made available for a particular purpose. And cost centers, a defined area, machine, person, or account to whom direct and indirect costs are allocated. Chapter 3. Accounting Setup. Options within the setup of your chart of accounts. When a community is selected, scrolling down to the lower right-hand corner, you will find related links. In this area, we will be selecting on Accounting Setup. Under All Communities main page, the Related Links area where selection of accounting setup can be attributed. Communities can be set up to use 3 different accounting choices or different accounting methods: accrual, cash, or modified accrual. It is divided into an upper and lower half. The upper half, where we've distinguished exactly what type of accounting system we're using, will also be able to distinguish the fiscal year start date, the frequency of charges, and the current fiscal year. The fiscal year start date will determine the periods listed below. Only 2 periods can be open at one time, but one can be current. Click OK to save the choices at the top when finished. Under Related Links, in the Community page, you will also find the Accounting Year Dashboard. This is the area where it will allow us to set up a new fiscal year, close a current year, or reclose after adjustments have been made, or undo the closed year in order to reverse closing entries and reopen the fiscal year transactions. Continuing on in the Community Related Links area, the Accounts area, where we had selected originally, will take you back to the General Ledger Chart of Accounts. Again, on the Chart of Accounts, easily add new accounts to your General Ledger, enable the use of cost centers or fund-based reporting, and add the fund to the account as you save it to your account ranges. After enabling funds or cost centers to be used, saving at the top, then click on the actual titled KPI bar. This is going to allow you to create the funds or the cost centers of your desire. Clicking on the KPI bar at the top to create the fund titles, simply add the line to create the fund. Save and edit the accounts page to assign the fund to the account of your choice. After creation of the funds, when Actions Edit is selected, you can then assign the fund to the account and save. Under General Ledger Accounts, when enabled and selected to create the cost centers, you could edit the number, name, description, and default status, adding to Select Accounts side, left to the right. Ensure that you deselect all or deselect default if you do not wish it to be added to all accounts. Once the cost centers have been created, you may add to the selected accounts side. Again, deselecting all accounts or select en masse at one time, editing the display names of accounts. On the Accounts side, when Options is selected, this will open a separate window for assignment options to accounts. Type, account range can be used, and the existing cost center pattern can also be attributed to specifically selected accounts. Chapter 4, Adjustments. Journal entries for your chart of accounts. From the left-hand navigation under General Ledger, GL journal entries can be selected. The activity in GL is displayed. Accrued and posted transactions can be viewed here. A selectable GL number for the ease of navigation. Reference information is displayed, amounts, date, and created displayed as well. Journal entries to the GL activities screen. Accrued actions can have added comments or edit the entry before posting. Posted entries can have comments added and will display all GL account activity. Additionally, in the Journal Entries area, you will find a green KPI bar to the right. Selection of this will actually take you to the same area of automation for scheduled automated jobs. This is the same as clicking either way. It will display the recurring entries that have been created for that community. From the Journal Entry Activity screen, Actions, New Journal Entry can be selected, where details and line items, remember to account for both income and receivable if using accrual, can be added to this, selecting the plus sign to assign the GL accounts as needed, saving and adding at the top when completed. Now let's demonstrate that journal entry. Five, General Ledger Budgets. Creating your new year budget. Along the left-hand navigation, the selection of General Ledger, and the selection of Budgets, you'll be presented with the budget that you have or have not created at this point. Under Actions, you can always go to edit that budget. Under Actions, Edit Budget is selected. It will open up the fields adjacent to the right of each account, and sub-cost center as well, allowing you to distribute. When clicking in these fields, the budget amount will open to the right, allowing you to distribute this evenly. Under Actions, in the General Ledger Budgets area, will also allow you to import budgets. The import window will allow the selection of a CSV file or comma-separated value file for importing into TOPS 1. You can download a sample to create your own upload file and post the fiscal year. Under Actions, you can export your budget. This will export the file created to your computer to be emailed or printed to others. Also under Actions in General Ledger Budgets, you will find that you can copy the budget. This will allow you to copy to the current budget to future years. Amounts can also be altered or incremented by percentage from year to year. Let's see a demonstration of the Budgets area. Chapter 6. The General Ledger Audit Log. Recording the transactions. The General Ledger Audit Log, from the top, will be selected based on community, start date, end date, the ability to show deleted transactions, the modules that should be concentrated on, sorting preferences, export formats. Selecting Apply after the options have been specified will display the results below. You can see this by posted date, by the user, the action, transaction, the item, whether it was copied from something else, the process date and time, and amounts if attributed at all. Chapter 7. General Ledger Reporting. Reporting the transactions. Under the left-hand navigation, under Reports and Standard Reports, you will find the General Ledger specific reports. From balance sheets to budgets, fund balance, incomes, trial balances, bank reconciliation, and more can be found here. Simply put your cursor over the black icon. Hovering over this will display a description of the report before going into it. Thank you for watching this TOPS 1 training presentation series on the General Ledger. Please continue in the series.